So you're thinking about moving to Miami, Florida. Well, I definitely can relate. Although I was born and raised, lived in Miami all of my life, I know what it's like living in another parts of the country. I studied at the University of Maine. I played minor league baseball all over the country, in the New England area, the Midwest, the West Coast. So no matter where you're coming from, I can relate and understand what it's like moving to Miami and living here. So I'm going to give you the pros, the cons, the good, the bad, and the ugly of living in Miami, Florida. So if you want to learn more, stick around.
Hey, if this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about living in Miami, Florida and the surrounding areas, and subscribe below and tap that bell for notification so you can be the first to learn about the current market here in Miami, Florida. My name is Ray and I'm a full-time Florida realtor in the Miami area, and we get calls, texts, and emails every day from people just like you looking to make their move to Miami, Florida. We love it. So whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days, just give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or schedule a Zoom call. We're happy to help you make that smooth move to Miami, Florida. And pro number 10 is our sunshine. We have beautiful weather all year round. And this is one of the main reasons why we have so many people move to Miami every single year. Even in the fall and winter, we have lots of sunshine. These are the best and busiest seasons when it comes to people visiting Miami, Florida, because it doesn't get too hot or too cold, and we have many outdoor festivals and events this time of year. You could be outside without worrying about sweating or freezing because it gets too cold. If you like outdoor sports, then Miami is a great place for you to live. Since Miami became a city in 1896, sports has played a major role here. Immediately, Miami became known as a sporting town, mainly because of the weather. It hosted many big-time sporting events, and you can play sports any time of the year here. It is fantastic. Now, in the summertime, it does get very hot and humid. So the best thing to do is go to the beach, the pool, spend time in the boat, enjoy water activities like fishing, jet skiing, boating, and it's also a great time to go on a beach vacation. I recommend wearing light clothing, sunglasses, and hats to protect yourself from the sun, and also make sure to apply sunscreen to protect your skin from the UV rays. But overall, I think the sunshine is a huge benefit of living in Miami, Florida. It provides the energy your skin needs to make vitamin D. It makes life brighter, improves your mood. Just walking out into a bright, sunny morning gets your day started off on a happy note. And our next pro is salt life. Now, the sunshine combined with living by the water makes a great recipe for having fun outdoors while boating, fishing, diving, snorkeling, or just enjoying a beautiful day at the beach. Now, if you live in Miami, you have many beaches to go to. The closest and most popular Miami beach is South Beach. And this is gonna be populated mostly of a younger party crowd. And there's some spots for families south of 5th, but mostly for families, it's better to go to Mid Beach or North Miami Beach. Besides the beaches in Miami, Florida, you can also take a short drive to the Florida Keys, where there are many beaches and tons of fishing, boating, and lots of water activities. You can also visit the beaches in Fort Lauderdale and West Palm Beach. And lastly, we are just a few hours away from the beaches on the west coast of Florida. The west coast of Florida is more relaxed, slower paced, where you'll find your typical small beach town. So if you love being on the water, Miami is a wonderful place for you to live. So what do we do when the summertime is over? Well, we enjoy the winter. The winter is one of the best seasons to be in Miami, Florida. Summertime is great, but it is hot and summer everywhere in the US. And in the winter, most of the US is very cold and covered up in snow. The winter is a very busy season in Miami, Florida. This is when all the outdoor events and festivals begin. A great thing to do in the wintertime is take a drive to the Florida Keys and just soak up the sun and enjoy some delicious seafood and a margarita or two. You will only need light sweaters and one real thick jacket or sweater for when the temperature drops below 50 degrees 1 or 2 times a year. Overall, winter is the best time to be in Miami, Florida. Our pro number 7 are the schools. Miami is a metropolitan area with a very large public school system, and there are many schools in every neighborhood. And besides the public school system, we have great private schools and many charter schools. Charter schools have become increasingly popular because you get the best of both worlds. It is a tuition-free private school. They have become a very good option for families, and almost every neighborhood has a few charter schools you can choose from. For higher learning, we have some colleges and universities, and the 2 biggest ones that we have down here are University of Miami and Florida International University. One of the most attractive financial benefits of living in Florida is having no state income tax. So if you're coming from California or New York, you will love this. One of the reasons we don't have state income tax is that Florida generates so much money from tourism that it allows for this benefit. We also have other great tax benefits such as the homestead exemption and the no capital gains tax on the sale of a property of up to $500,000 for a married couple and up to $250,000 for a single person. Now this allows you to sell your property, keep your profits, and put it towards another home purchase. But more on this on future videos. If you're enjoying this video, give us a thumbs up and hit that like button and comment below. This will help us to better understand what you want to know about so we can provide better content for you in the future. An exciting part of living in Miami, Florida is experiencing all the major sporting events. We have teams for all the major sports, which include the Miami Marlins, the Miami Heat, the Miami Dolphins, the Florida Panthers for hockey, which they're actually in Broward, but it's only a short drive away. And our newest member to the sporting family is the Club Internacional de Fútbol Miami, which is also known in English as Miami Inter CF. They're our American soccer club that we have down here. Since we have nice weather all year round, you can play sports in any season. So if you like to play or watch sports, Miami is a great sporting town. Just a heads up, Miami is a very competitive city. So if the teams are winning, the fans will go to the game. But if they start losing, the fans will stop going. This has been a phenomenon for years, but my theory is that there is so much to do down here in any season that we would rather be on the beach or enjoying the sunshine somewhere rather than watching a poor sporting event. If you're a foodie, then you will love the dining scene in Miami. It is very diverse with influences from many different countries. This melting pot community creates a unique vibe in the city because everyone brings their own way of life and perspective on how to do things. You'll find food from all over the world, including the most obvious and most popular Cuban cuisine, Argentinian, Italian, French, Japanese, Caribbean, Peruvian, Brazilian, Nicaraguan, and many more. If you want Cuban food, you can go to the world famous Versailles or the trendier Cuban restaurant Sergio's. For Argentinian, you can visit Graciano's meat markets or taste some stone crabs from Joe's Stone Crabs in South Beach if you are craving seafood. There are endless flavors for you to match your palate and satisfy your taste buds in Miami. You will never be bored of eating the same thing. As for entertainment, there are also endless options for you to be entertained. We mentioned earlier about the sporting events, if that is your thing. We also have many art and music festivals, museums, theaters. We have the Miami Zoo, the Miami Seaquarium. We're close to the Everglades. You can visit the farms in the Redlands where you can pick your own fruit, or just go shopping at any of our fabulous malls around town. And if you are the party type, then you will fit right in because Miami has the most vibrant nightlife in all the country, which leads us to our next pro. Get ready to experience the ultimate party scene. We don't have clubs that close at 2 a.m. like most other cities. The nightlife here extends throughout the night into the next morning and continues throughout the day. There's a party for everyone in Miami. If you like to party all through the night into the next morning, you will have many options. And if you just like to chill and hang out with friends, have drinks and conversation until the next morning as well, you will also have endless places to go. Most of the nightlife is in Miami Beach, but there are many spots where you can go party or just hang out in Miami. You can go to Coral Gables, Brickell, Wynwood, Coconut Grove, or just stay in your neighborhood and hang out at your local bar. As you may know by now, Miami is full of people from all over the world. We have a very diverse culture, and this could take some time getting used to. I tell everyone that Miami feels like you're in another country because it just feels so different here, and you must experience it to understand it. Now, I think this is a good thing, and this is what gives Miami a unique flavor. It is very interesting to experience all these cultures all in one city. The Cuban exile back in the 1960s transformed the small town of Miami back then, and since then it has grown with many other people from all over the world moving to Miami, making it the fastest growing and most dynamic cities in all of the country. We do speak English in Miami, but don't be surprised if someone answers you in Spanish or Spanglish. Spanglish is when someone mixes Spanish and English in the same sentence. It sounds kind of strange, but we understand it, and if you lived here for a while, you will too. The diversity Miami brings offers a lot of excitement along with delicious cuisine and different ways of living life, which makes Miami the magic city with lots of flavor. This leads us to our last pro, which is one of the things that Miami has that no other city has, and that is the Cafecito. Miami is known for its Cuban culture, and our favorite type of coffee is the Cafecito, also known as Cuban coffee. Cafecito is an espresso with sugar. It is a very strong shot of caffeine. One unique thing in Miami is La Ventanita. It is literally the only place in the United States that has this. What is La Ventanita? Well, the English translation is literally a small window. It literally is a window at a restaurant where you can just walk up to and order Cuban coffee and different variations of it like café con leche, cortadito, and some pastries and other snacks. There are many ventanitas all over Miami. It is a great pit stop to fuel your body with caffeine if you're on the go before going to work, after lunch, afternoon boost, or casual conversation with friends on a weekend. It is very versatile. You can spend a few minutes or an hour chatting it up with patrons from all walks of life, enjoying the cafecito, and having casual conversations about anything, about politics, business, relationships, sports, etc. Cafecito at La Ventanita has become a habit, and it is the Miami way of meeting up at Starbucks. Oh, and there's one more thing I forgot to mention. The price of Cafecito is only less than $1. Nobody likes to talk about negative stuff, and in this video, we're talking about cons, so I'm gonna make it quick and we're gonna jump right into it and talk about con number 10, which is bike trails. It's not that we don't have bike trails, is that most of the bike trails are in the east part of town, which is where Miami started and grew out westward. So if you live more to the west, you won't have many bike trails and you'll have to ride on the street. If you live on the west side of Miami, which most of the suburbs are, you'll definitely have to be riding on the streets. There are some parks where you can go to and some golf courses that have a biking path around it, and there's a lot of cyclists who do that. But if you live on the east side by downtown Brickell, Coral Gables, Coconut Grove area, you'll have plenty of bike trails and very scenic, going over the bridge, looking at the water, through luscious tropical gardens in Coconut Grove. So those bike trails are a lot better, but Parks and Recreation Department here in Miami are doing a very good job at expanding the bike trails and making them accessible to most of the city. There are some beautiful and scenic bike trails if you want to bike for fun and recreation. But to get around town and to go to work and come back home or go to school, you most likely would have to live in the downtown Brickell area, the east part of Miami, where there's a lot of bike trails and the distances of travel are not that long. But if you live in the west side, where it's more spread out, very spacious, it's gonna be hard to get around with only a bicycle. Now, the city is trying to promote an active lifestyle here in Miami, Florida, and there's many projects to improve and enhance bike trails. And specifically, there's one called the Ludlam Trail, which is a 5-mile long corridor, which is meant for you to walk, ride bike, and get around from one neighborhood to the other without using a motorized vehicle. So this is gonna be fantastic. It hasn't broke ground yet, but the plans are already approved, and this may take a few years to get ready, but it's gonna be something that's gonna change the way we get around here in Miami, Florida, specifically in the southwest neighborhoods where it's gonna be located at. Now, moving on to our next con is auto insurance. Now, this is one fixed cost where you definitely need to plan for, and it's kind of pricey. It could run you between $200 to $300 an average for auto insurance, and you can thank all the bad drivers that we have down here in Miami, Florida. because that is the main reason why our auto insurance is through the roof. So the good drivers end up paying the price for everyone. Now, depending on the neighborhood, your prices may vary. So that's something else to consider. Some areas have higher insurance rates than others. Now, the good thing is that we have many insurance companies down here in Miami, and that competition is good because you can switch from one company to the next at any time. And most of them give safe driver discounts, so that should definitely help. But make sure and plan for this fixed cost when moving down to Miami, Florida. Now, moving on to the next con is our tolls. Now, we have tolls on every expressway. Back then, we only had it on the Florida Turnpike and Highway 836. But we also had huge bottlenecks where people had to stop and physically pay somebody money to get through the toll. Nowadays, it makes it very easy because we have something called the Sun Pass, where you just put on the sticker, where you just put the sticker on the car and drive through the expressway. Now, the bad thing is that you don't even notice you're spending the money because there's no reason to stop, and you keep driving, you keep driving, you keep driving until you collect a bill every month for $100. Now, SunPass has made it easier to collect tolls, and that's why we have them everywhere now. But we have seen the benefits of paying all those tolls throughout the years. We now have new expressways, expanded expressways with more lanes, so the traffic has gotten a lot better than before. And there's new bridges constantly being built, going to the downtown area, going to the beach. We have the new tunnel system going to the Port of Miami, which alleviated a lot of traffic. So we have seen the positives of paying tolls in the form of less traffic and better roads. Now, sticking with the same theme, our next con is traffic. Now, this should be no surprise to anyone living in a big city, but Miami is a place where we have a lot of people living here, and it sort of grew from the downtown area out west. So we don't have any other place to grow because we have the ocean on the other side. So most of the traffic is in the morning going towards downtown, which is the east side, and going west from the east side in the afternoons. And Miami is a city where you definitely need a car to get around, so it's kind of hard to go around the traffic. Other alternatives is public transportation, which we'll talk about that in a bit. You can take Uber, which is very popular in Miami. Bicycle, like we mentioned earlier, not many bike paths where you can commute to work unless you live in the downtown area. Carpool, you can do that, but not an efficient way to get around. Now, if you want to avoid traffic, you can take Uber, which is very popular down here in Miami. Bike paths, we talked about earlier, it's good for recreation, but not to get around or commute to and from work. And you're probably thinking, how about public transportation? Well, that leads us to our next con. Public transportation is an issue that we've always had here in Miami, Florida. Like I said, Miami grew very fast out towards the west, and it's very spread out. Now, we do have public transportation, but it's very limited. The bus is the one that takes you to most of the city. But if you live in downtown or the urban part, which is the east side of Miami, where it all started from, you do have the Metro Rail and you have the Metro Mover. The Metro Rail takes you to downtown from the South Miami part and on the north side of Miami, but it only covers a few neighborhoods. And then the Metro Mover is a smaller version where you get to stand instead of sitting, and it does a little loop from downtown to Brickell. So it's very convenient if you work or live in the downtown Brickell area, where you can just hop on and off. And I think it is free. The Metro Rail, I think it's like $1 something, but it's not that much. If you're enjoying this video, make sure to give us a thumbs up and hit that like button and comment below. This will help us to better understand what you want to know about, so we can provide better content in the future. Now, I decided to throw in a bonus con that was not on the list, because after I made the list, I thought about it. I'm like, wait a second. There's one con that I really wanted to mention, and that is the parking. Parking down here in Miami is something that's very limited because of the lack of real estate that we have down here. Now, on the east side, where there's no space, parking is a major issue. Wherever you want to go, you gotta pay a meter if you find one, or pay $20, $30 to park in a garage. As you move farther west, the city spreads out, there's more space. Parking is not that bad. So this is something else to consider, where most people, what they do is they take Ubers if they're gonna go to the downtown Brickell area, maybe to a restaurant. So it's something very convenient, and a lot of people here in Miami use Uber to get around the parking situation. Con number 5 is employment. Now, Miami is made up of small businesses, independent contractors, salesmen, entrepreneurs, and we do have corporate jobs, but compared to other major cities, there are not many. Wages in Miami, Florida are low for the high cost of living that we have down here. Now, within the last few years, Miami has been attracting a few industries that were non-existent in Miami, and that is the tech industry and the crypto industry. And our next con is our cost of living. Miami is a very expensive city. Now, starting with our real estate, which has boomed in the last 2 or 3 years, our prices have gone through the roof and have been very difficult for people to purchase a home. Now, low wages and a high cost of living are not a good combination, and Miami has both. And besides our high cost of living, like our real estate, our auto insurance, like we mentioned earlier, our property taxes, our homeowners insurance, and just the lifestyle that you want to live, makes it very difficult with low wages to have a lifestyle that you want to in Miami, Florida. Now, it depends where you're coming from, because if you're coming from New York or California, you may find Miami very inexpensive. Although Miami is known for its waterfront properties, luxurious lifestyle, yachts, and fabulous parties, no matter what your income level is, there is an opportunity for you to live and enjoy a good lifestyle here in Miami. And up next is the bugs and reptiles. I don't know if I've gotten used to it, but it doesn't really bother me much anymore. Yes, we have bugs and mosquitoes, but mostly during the summertime because it's very hot and humid and we are right next to the Everglades. Other creatures you will encounter here are lizards and alligators. Lizards such as the small garden lizard, the red-headed dragon, the iguanas, which are all harmless. But be careful with the alligators. They don't attack, but keep in mind that in any body of water, there could be an alligator. And yes, I'm talking about canals, rivers, lakes, and the ocean. And our con number 2 is that Miami is very flat. Now, if you're coming from California, even upstate New York, and most of the United States, there's some kind of slope. But Miami down here is at sea level, and you can see the downtown buildings from miles away down the streets. I don't think it's a bad thing, but I threw it on here because I know most people come from places with hills and mountains, and this could be a shock and something to get used to. So most of our outdoors are not on hills or mountains, but spent on the water. We do have mountain bike trails, but they're not on mountains. And we have parks with imitation hills, and the golf courses are flat with a couple of bumps, so it's definitely something to get used to. And our con number 1 of living in Miami are the hurricanes. We even have a season for it. It's the hurricane season, which lasts from June to November. Now, sometimes we don't get any hurricanes, it's just threats and tropical storms. But if a hurricane comes, you can count that it's gonna be during that time frame. So all we can do down here is prepare for the hurricane season by protecting our homes, boarding our windows and doors, always having enough batteries, water, non-perishable foods. And the good thing is that we have a hurricane center down here that is always tracking hurricanes and could predict very accurately if a hurricane is going to hit us and when. So at least we can prepare for it, and that's the best we can do. But we have had some bad hurricanes that have destroyed and wiped out neighborhoods, a lot of the trees. But the good thing is that Miami always bounces back, and we're able to overcome and get ready for the next hurricane season. Oh, and one other thing is that we typically have hurricane parties, either during the hurricane if you're well boarded up inside a house or a building, or after the hurricane. We make the best out of it and enjoy a nice hurricane party. So hurricane season is something to take seriously, but nothing to fear. I guess that's the price of having beautiful weather all year round. With that, this pretty much wraps it up, and hope you enjoyed this video. We'll leave you with some of my favorite video clips of Miami. And again, whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days, feel free to give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or schedule a Zoom call. We're happy to help you make that smooth move to Miami, Florida. And until next time, we hope to show you around town and welcome you to Miami.